we are up to, let's see, we're going to go with
Miss Kathy Branch, retired RN.
a retired RN who has another inspirational story for you all. Please and welcome Kathy Branch. Step up so we can make sure it's that good.
Hola. I am a chicken. I am a chicken. Before I tell you the tale, before I tell you the tale, I am a scared person. I am not a great warrior. I am afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of possums. I'm afraid of spiders. I can stomp on a palmetto bug, but not if it drops on me. Anyway, you can ask my friend, my sister-in-law. I'm afraid of things.
Step up to the mic.
I just need you to be right talking.
Okay, so I'm afraid of things.
Yes.
So this is the context of the story. My story is El Pollo on a Cessna. In 2011, I had the opportunity through my church in Florence, South Carolina, to take a mission trip to Iquitos, Peru. And Iquitos is an island that you can only get to by water. And I heard about it through a preacher named Brennan Manning. He was quite old at the time. And what he said to me that stirred my heart is, you don't go on a mission trip to serve. You go on a mission trip to change yourself. And that really stirred me. Never been on a mission trip, never been out of the country. So a doctor from my church, his wife, a pharmacist from our church, myself, and a nurse from Colombia decided to join medical missions and go in the jungle and do this mission trip. And I was a nurse. I've been a nurse now for 44 years. So we met for 6 months, and we planned, we collected drugs, and got our passports, got the shots. We would meet and pray and prepare. So I was at the hospital working one day, and a 6-seater Cessna was shot out of the sky in Peru. And that Cessna had a red cross on the bottom, and the people in it didn't survive. I said, that's a sign? I am not supposed to go on this trip. Oh, I'm not going, that's it. So of course, my husband and friends said, you're not supposed to go on this trip. And I said, thank God. I was going to do it, but that's a sign. So one of my friends, kind of a spiritual mom to me, said to me, you don't have to go on the trip, but I think you should keep meeting with the team. You've been meeting all this time, you guys are solidified. So she said, you can meet with the team, but don't board the plane. Oh, that was a good idea. I can do that. I'll just keep meeting. So kept meeting with the team like we had planned. And then one day that everybody in here remembers, I was working at the hospital and I looked up and 9/11 happened. Everybody here knows exactly where they were. When I looked up in a hospital room, I thought, is this a movie? Or my patient's watching one of those old movies, and it was no movie. I know exactly where I was. And I said, well, we're not going on any mission trip this week. That's not going to happen. I wanted to get my child. I wanted to go home. I thought it was the end of the world. And I was for sure knowing we weren't going on a mission trip. I said, it was a sign from God. We are not going. So I was really relieved. About a week later, we got a call from Savannah Airport to our leaders. They had a plane that was going to go to Atlanta Hartford. We were going to be the first plane out of the country, and our mission trip was on. Oh, I got a lot of flack about that. My family, my parents, everybody said, you can go on a mission trip somewhere here in the U.S. Why would you leave the country to go on a mission trip to Peru when our country might be at war? Well, my friend said, why don't you just go to Savannah, get on the plane, and you don't have to go from Atlanta. You just cancel when you get to Atlanta. I said, well, and my husband said, I'll take your team there. He goes, be brave. I wasn't feeling brave. So, and I have the album with me tonight, just to give me courage. We took a big trailer with 700 pounds of medication, which we never could get through TSA now. 700 pounds of medication, all of our luggage, and we went on to Savannah. And when we got to Savannah, TSA was horrified. They went through every single suitcase. You're not carrying narcotics, right? No, no narcotics. Went through every label. What is this for? What is this for? And we just passed TSA. Guess what? Tropical depression. I said, oh, good. That's great. Yay, a hurricane. Delayed. I said, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going. It's a sign. It's a sign. So Dave, I guess you're not going. And I said, oh, God is so good. I'm not going. And then it lifted. So we were going to go to Atlanta Hartford. There was no bailing. Either I'm going or I'm not going. Dear Janet asked me the other day, what empowered you to take those steps to finally to end up going to Atlanta? Well, I said, I can bail in Atlanta. I got one more time. I can always bail in Atlanta. Nobody was in the flight from Savannah, got to Atlanta. Atlanta Hartford was empty. There was nobody. It was completely empty. I said, this is kind of nightmarish. It was just really weird. So TSA checked us off because they had already checked us off. There was no hurricane. So we boarded. I was the last one. And she asked me, what made you do it? And I thought about that missionary. If you don't go, just like that couple, if you don't go and you don't get out of the boat and you don't step out beyond your comfort zone this one time, there'll be no change in your life. You will not make a change. You will not step out of the boat. You'll be the same Kathy that does the same thing every day. And I was like, I hope I live. I hope I live. And I went, and once I got on the plane, I was okay. And so we get to Lima, this big rush, this busy city. They hurried up and stuck us in a hotel, told us to get a couple hours sleep because now we're going to fly from Atlanta really quick and get to, get over and get settled to fly from Lima to the islands. So in the morning, they took us. We got ready to fly to Iquitos. Where's the plane? It was a 6-seater Cessna. I was like, where's the sign? Where's this? I was, are you kidding me, God? All this time and now we're going to go into Cessna? Well, this ended up being, I'm wrapping up, this ended up being the trip of a lifetime for 2 reasons, big reasons. Those people did not expect that we would fly after our country got attacked and go in boats to these islands. They never expected the U.S. would do that. The other thing that happened is I had a great trip, and I went on many, many more mission trips after that. And I've stepped out and done way further than that. But I was also a chicken. I'm still a chicken. But the main thing I wanted to tell you, and this is related to Tidal Tales, this was a really hard week in our country this week for a lot of reasons. This was a heartbreaking week. And when we come up here and we tell you stories, every one of you has done a first time. Maybe not as daring as going on a mission trip during 9/11, but we're still one people and we're still united by these stories. There's a common thread in everybody. And when we come up here and tell stories and we go home, we still are united. There's a common thread in that. And that's why I think it's important to come up here and tell it. And that's what I love about Georgetown.